Now, press this button.
Hi guys, good morning. We're just waiting for a few more people to join and then we can start the webinar. So I will update you guys shortly on that, okay? We'll just wait for a couple more minutes. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is Sharon from Virtue Zone. I'm a company formation manager with Virtue Zone, and I will be talking about business setup in the UAE today. I hope you've all had a great start to the morning and had your daily dose of caffeine. A couple of things before we start. There's a Q&A section on the webinar, so you can leave your questions there. If we have time to do it during the webinar, I will get to them. If not, me or my team will get back to you after. And once the webinar is over, you will be redirected to a Calendly link where you can schedule a free consultation with our company formation experts as well. All right. I'm just going to wait for just maybe another few seconds. There are a few more people joining, and then we can start with the presentation. Okay, so I will be talking about company setup in the UAE, the hows, the whys, the whats, the do's and the don'ts. All right. First of all, why setting up in the UAE? Why should you come to the UAE to set up a company? Uh, as you know, the UAE is in one of the best locations in the world. It serves as a gateway to Africa, Asia, and Europe. Okay, it connects the east and the west together. So it's a very good location in terms of having to move here for trading, for exports, for imports, etc. The infrastructure of the UAE is done up really well. It's very well developed. As you know, the quality of life in the UAE is amazing. There's a very diversified economy in the UAE. More than 70% of the GDP in the UAE now comes from non-oil and gas sectors like trading, logistics, banking, tech, and real estate. UAE has a very stable currency as well. We are pegged to the dollar. We are also one of the safest countries in the world. And the expat population in the UAE is more than 80 to 85%. So it's a very global community. And if you live here, you know, when you guys want to move here and live here, you will end up having access to a lot more people, a lot more different cultures, etc. It just gives you a better quality of life on the whole. I will be just sharing a very quick presentation while I go through this so you guys can also have a look at a few of the things that we have put down. Okay, so there are three different types of company setups that you can do in the UAE. The legal structures that I'm talking about. One is a free zone, one is a mainland, and one is offshore. Free zones were created in the UAE. They were very special jurisdictions in the UAE, and they were made to allow 100% foreign ownership and 100% repatriation of profits. There are more than 50 free zones in the UAE currently. A lot of the free zones cater to different types of industries, specific types of industries. So some are made for import export, some are made for services, some are made for media, and some are more generic. Okay, so you have a lot of options to choose from in terms of free zones. Free zone setups are generally much easier, much quicker. Most of them allow you to have a flexi desk option, so you don't need to have a virtual office, so you could work from home or remotely. They have access to global taxation agreements. So there are global taxation treaties between the UAE and some countries. So free zones give you access to that as well. Most of the free zones, especially for import export, if the goods are not coming to the UAE, they're also the 5% import export tax is also not levied on all of the products. Sorry. Okay. So that's the free zones. Other than the free zones, we now come to the mainland. Mainland is basically all local companies in the UAE. You are allowed with a mainland license to trade locally in the UAE with local companies. You can bid for government projects. You can bid for government tenders. You can work within the UAE and outside of the UAE without any problems. The mainland has three different types of setups. One is commercial. Commercial basically deals with products, physical trading of products. So, you're trading of machinery, trading of IT products, trading of gold, diamond, jewelry, etc. Then you have your professional licenses, which mostly deals with services. So it's like your consultancies, media, events, IT consultancies, technology sectors, etc. And then you have your industrial, which deals with manufacturing. So manufacturing and assembling. So if you're going to be manufacturing any kind of products in the UAE, that would be your industrial license. Okay. Now, the difference between the free zone and the mainland is free zones were basically made to trade within the free zones or outside of the UAE. So if you're not planning to do any work in the UAE, or if let's say 90% of your business is going to be outside of the UAE, then free zones work better for you. Mainland was made specifically to trade locally in the local market, to work with local companies, to work with the governments. Okay, so that's the main difference between the two. Mainland does give you a bit more benefits in terms of being able to work with any and every company in the UAE. Earlier, there used to be a difference. Mainland could not be 100% owned. It had to be a 51% local partner and a 49% expat. But those rules since June of 2021 have changed completely. Almost 98% of the activities in the mainland right now can be owned 100% by expats. So the whole, 51% rule is not there anymore. So it is actually a very good option at the moment. And then we come to offshore setups. Offshore setups are typically done only within certain free zones. There are about three or four free zones in the UAE that could give you an offshore setup. Offshore setups generally work for holding companies, companies that just want to hold assets for SPVs, etc., not really for operational companies. Because with an offshore company, you cannot do any work in the UAE. You can only do work outside of the UAE, okay? And you cannot get any visas, etc. Whereas both free zones and mainland allows you to have visas, allows you to get visas for yourself, for your employees, for your families, allows you to get a residency in the UAE, to live in the UAE, work in the UAE. Your kids can move here with you, they can go to school in the UAE, etc. So these are the three main setups in the UAE. Because of the choices that you have, because there are so many choices in the UAE for you to set up, and you are spoiled for choices, it gets a bit complicated as to what is the right choice for you. When you're coming in as a layman to the UAE, you don't know what you need to do, because the infrastructure for company setup in the UAE is very different to the rest of the world. It's not the same here. So when you come in here and you're like, I want to set up a business, you know the business you want to set up, but you don't know which option you need to go for. Do I need free zone? Do I need mainland? If I need free zone, which free zone do I need to go for? If I need mainland, what is the activity that I need? So that is where companies like Virtue Zone comes in, wherein we can sit with you, we understand the business really well, we can consult with you, we can understand exactly what you need to do. Okay, this is your business, I want to set up a media company. All right, these are the shareholders, these are the amount of visas we need, and then we can give you options. We can give you the different options that are available, whether free zone, whether mainland, and we can give you impartial advice, because we work with almost every jurisdiction in the UAE. So it's not like where we're just working with one and then we have to try and fit you within that mold. No, you tell us what you need and then we give you options that would work for you, and then based on your appetite for those options, in terms of budget, in terms of, do you need an office, do you not need an office, you need employees, you want to work with government, etc., you can then, based on that, make your choice. So yeah, so that's the reason we are here. That's the reason VirtueZone is in the UAE trying to do this for you. A little bit about VirtueZone. We have been here since 2009, so we've been operating more than 15 years in the UAE now. We've helped set up more than 70,000 entrepreneurs, different types of companies, free zone, mainland, offshores. We also help with after company setup services. So once you set up the company, to get the visa, to get your bank account, to get any kind of compliance for your company done, that is all something that VirtueZone can help you with. Okay. The process of setting up in the UAE, whether we do free zone, mainland, or offshore, is very similar. The documentations will be different, the timelines will be a bit different, but the procedure is the same. So the first step is basically the consultation. So we consult, we're like, okay, this is the option you need to go for. Once the consultation is done, we get into the documentations. The basic documentations required for business licensing is passport copies of the shareholders, CVs of the shareholders. If you have an existing visa in the UAE already, then some jurisdictions ask for an NOC, some don't. If you don't have a visa, absolutely fine. You get the visa under the company. Your basic email ID, phone number, residence address. There's basic KYC and compliance that needs to be done with the documentations. Once the documentation is done, then you sign all of the paperwork, and then your business license is issued. Once your business license is issued, then you get a visa if you don't already have a visa. And once you get the visa, only then is the bank account open. It is mandatory from the central bank that at least one of the shareholders and whoever is going to be the manager on the license needs to have a UAE residence visa in order to open a corporate bank account in the UAE. So this would be the procedure. In terms of timelines, depending on the jurisdiction you choose, whether free zone, whether mainland, the total process of licensing to visa to bank account takes anywhere between 3 weeks to, I would say, 2 months, because different jurisdictions have slightly different, compliance procedures, which might take longer here and there. And VirtueZone can help you with this from start to finish. So right from consultation up to your bank account opening. All right. Now, once your bank account is open, it doesn't stop there. There are certain compliances, certain procedures that you need to follow for your company to operate and be compliant in the UAE. This is what we call the corporate services. As you know, the UAE now has 2 types of taxes. Okay, there is no income tax, which is great because mostly every country has income tax, but we don't. There is VAT, which is at 5%, which is value added tax. And then there is corporate tax, which is at 9%. Okay. Now, both of them have certain conditions to be fulfilled for you to actually be eligible for it. So VAT, if you are going to be at a turnover of more than 375,000 dirhams a year, you would basically be eligible for VAT. All right. So you get a VAT number, you put the VAT number on your invoices. Now, if you are doing work within the UAE, so if your clients are within the UAE and you're invoicing within the UAE, your VAT would be at 5%, which is the taxation, the value added tax. However, if your clients are outside of the UAE and you are invoicing clients outside of the UAE, even though you have a VAT number, you would invoice them at 0%. There are again certain conditions to those, which we can go into detail at a later stage if and when we do a consultation later. When you want to do your business setup, we can go into all of the conditions that to be fulfilled for a VAT. And then we come to corporate tax. Corporate tax is at 9%. Every single company in the UAE, free zone and mainland, has to register for corporate tax. All right. Now, the good thing about corporate tax is a lot of people won't be eligible for it because there are certain exemptions for corporate taxation. One of the main exemptions is if you are below a 3 million turnover in a year, so your annual turnover in a calendar year is less than 3 million, you would not need to pay the 9%. Okay, so a lot of people, when they just start out, they fall with under that bracket. And this small business relief exemption is valid till 2025 or 2026. So you would be for 2 or 3 years would not need to pay this. Anything over 3 million, then yes, you need to pay 9% on any profits that you make. And again, we have a compliance and a corporate tax team who can actually speak to you on this, depending on your business, depending on your business plan, depending on what you know you're going, what the amount of turnover you know you're going to get to. We can actually advise you better on how tax is going to affect you. Other than these, there are a few more additional services that we can give you. PRO services, if you need any help with someone to take you, I don't know, you need to go to do a medical test, or you need to go do your driving license, you need to convert your driving license, you need someone to come along with you to help you with a few procedures. That's something VirtueZone can provide. Certain companies need to do certain compliances which are mandatory. Which is UBO, which is ultimate beneficiary ownership. There is ESR, which is economic substance regulation, and there is AML, which is anti-money laundering. So depending on certain activities of your companies, a lot of you would need to do this compliance. You could do that yourself, or VirtueZone could help you do that, so you're compliant within the rules and regulations of the UAE. We also process investor long-term visas, so golden visas, which are the 10-year visas based on property, based on your employment, salary, etc. There are 3-4 different ways to apply for that. We can provide legal services on contracts for you, contracts between companies, contracts between you and your employees. We can provide IT services, so setting up your website, hosting your website, your email, your email boxes, etc. We can also do logo design, website design, and things like those. And if there is something that you need and we don't provide in-house, like for example, you need someone to help you with HR, you need someone to help you with recruitment of people. VirtueZone doesn't do that in-house, but we have tie-ups with different companies who do these things, and these are people we have vetted out and we know that they can provide you the kind of service that you need. We would then do an introduction between you and them, and then they would take you forward for whatever else is required. So this is a little bit about a company setup and what VirtueZone can do for you. We do have a bit of time, quite a bit of time. So I'm actually going to go through the questions and see if I can answer a few of them. Okay, so someone has asked, if you already have a business in the UAE, like you already have a business set up and you just need help with the additional services like VAT or corporate tax or whatever, yes, we do offer those services for companies that are not our clients. You can just send us an email, or you can get in touch on our website, or after the webinar, you can connect on Calendly and we can help you with your VAT submission, tax returns, whatever else is required. In terms of activities in the UAE, there are a lot of activities in the UAE. There are 2,000 or 3,000 plus activities. Some of the main or the most popular ones, I would say, is e-commerce, IT services, so your technology, software. Then you have your trading, which is your trading of machinery, trading of IT products. And then you have a lot of media activities as well, which is your event management, which is a very popular activity in the UAE, your graphic design, web design, etc. And in terms of most of these activities can be done in every single jurisdiction. You can do it in the free zone, you can do it in the mainland, depending on where you want to conduct your business, whether in the UAE, whether outside of the UAE, we would then advise you, okay, do free zone, or okay, do mainland. For activities that do not require a third party approval and you do not need to apply for separate permits, etc., you could potentially do that in a free zone. But if you need to apply for any government permits, like for example, if you're doing an event in the UAE, all right, and you want to do an event in Dubai at Jumeirah Beach Hotel, and you need to apply for any government permits there, you need to apply for the DTCM approval, which is the Dubai Tourism and Commerce Marketing approval. Or you cannot do that with a free zone license. Like you cannot do that with a Sharjah or a Fujairah free zone license. You then need to have a Dubai mainland license in order to do it. This is the reason why you need the consultation, because you know the kind of business you're going to do and the kind of business you're going to conduct. And we would advise you based on that, okay, you need this because of so and so and so. The tax is 3 million AED, yes. So if you're going to go over the 3 million AED turnover, then that's when you would need to pay the 9% corporate tax. We only do taxation in the UAE. We do not consult on taxation outside of the UAE, purely for the fact that, you know, tax things change all the time, and we do not want to advise wrongly. We do have an idea and we would give you that idea, but we would always advise you, if you are coming from another country, like you're from the UK or the US or any other parts of the world, we would give you how the UAE taxation would affect you, but we would always advise you to speak to an advisor in your country to advise you on the taxes there, just so that there's no ambiguity and vagueness and you do not have any issues down the line. A participant has asked, if you want to make baked goods or chocolates, do you need a commercial kitchen setup? Yes, ideally, because there's like certain activities are regulated in the UAE, food being one of them, because they're very careful about what people are putting into their bodies, you know, because things can go wrong there. So food, education, these kind of activities are generally regulated in the UAE. So to legally do any kind of food business, you need to have a commercial kitchen in the UAE. Either you set up your own kitchen or restaurant, or you have cloud kitchens that are set up here that have the infrastructure already, and you basically lease from them and you work with them, and they follow all of the Dubai municipality rules and regulations, you know, all the health and safety, all the environmental regulations that they have to do. Okay, so someone has asked that they are interested in a one-man educational consultancy on the mainland, offering services to universities, colleges, and hospitals. It is absolutely possible to get an education consultancy license in the UAE, and you can get visas under that for yourself and for your employees if you want down the line. I would advise you to schedule an appointment with us. We can go through who you're working with, what kind of consultancy you want to provide, and then we basically confirm the activity that you want to choose. And on basis of that, we will tell you, okay, we can do it within a free zone. You could work with these guys, and whether you need approval from any secondary party or not. Okay, so right. So I think someone's asking about corporate tax and VAT because there's a bit of confusion. Okay, so let me clarify on that. But again, I would always advise you to do a separate consultation for taxation because I know it can get confusing. All right. We have two types of taxes. One is VAT and one is corporate tax. Now, VAT is not mandatory for every company. Okay. VAT is only mandatory if you are going to go over the 375,000 turnover in a year. All right. So if you're going to go over 375,000 AED turnover in a year, only then would you need to register for VAT and then charge the VAT on your invoices. Your clients pay the VAT, you pay the VAT back. All right. Now, so for example, if my turnover in the year was only going to be 200,000 dirhams, I would not need to do VAT, right? But corporate tax, every single company has to register for corporate tax. So even if I'm at a 200,000 turnover a year, or I'm at 100,000, or I'm at a 10,000 turnover a year, I still have to register for corporate tax. But I only need to pay corporate tax, which is at 9%, if I exceed a 3 million turnover. Okay, so I register for corporate tax as soon as my company is set up because it's a mandatory requirement. I'll do my annual returns, etc. But I do not need to pay any corporate tax at 9% unless I go over the 3 million turnover. I hope this is clear, but if you do have any questions on this, You can put it down here, or we can do a call after. Yes, we can connect you to a cloud kitchen if required. Get in touch with us, and we can advise you on that. If you plan to start a door-to-door business, you need to have a mainland license. You cannot do that with a free zone license. So depending on what your activity is, it would need to be mainland for sure. Fitness industry is regulated in the UAE to an extent. Ideally, you need to have a mainland license. Mainland has an activity called personal sports coaching services, under which you can train, if you're a fitness instructor, Pilates or whatever. You can train them either at their house or in a licensed gym, or you could potentially also train at other venues like, I don't know, Zabil Park or the beach, but you need to have a mainland license for that in order to do that without having any issues. We need to get Dubai Sports Council approval for that. And if you have a rep certificate, that always helps. Okay, so if you want to set up a cafe or a restaurant business, it needs to be mainland mostly, first of all. Um, you need to have Dubai municipality approval for the licensing, and the Dubai municipality health and safety approval. There's a department in Dubai municipality that does that. We can help you with it, or you can do that yourself. You can decide based on when we get to that stage. We do have a real estate arm of our business that can actually help you find locations if you want a location. So if you're setting up a restaurant or you're setting up any business and you require an office space in Dubai, we do have a real estate arm of Virtue Zone that can actually help you find either to buy or to rent, either way. If you get a mainland license for home furnishing goods, can you do business online with that mainland license? Yes, of course you can. The mainland license allows you to sell. However, you can sell through a store, you can sell online, you can sell door to door. So a mainland license gives you all those benefits. You can sell it however you want to. You do not need to get a separate e-commerce license for that. Someone's asked, can I set up a consultation agency, training, HR, business, etc., in a free zone and operate with mainland companies? Now, look, the law that was set up, 50, 100 years ago says that a free zone should not operate in the mainland. That is what the book says. Okay. However, a lot of these are not being enforced unless it is regulated licenses or it is physical movement of goods, because when you're moving goods from a free zone port to a mainland port, that's where these laws come into play. When it's a service based company, it's very hard to regulate that you shouldn't work with the mainland, right? Because you could be sitting, like, let's say you have a Dubai free zone license, like a Medan license, for example, and you're sitting at your home and you're consulting with you're consulting with Virtue Zone. Virtue Zone's a mainland license, correct? You are a free zone, and we are willing to work with you. It's very difficult to regulate that. So I would say that it's a bit of a gray area, but yes, potentially you could work. It depends on the company that you want to work with, if they are willing to work with you being a free zone or not. Now, as far as I know, private companies generally are okay with it. Government companies would generally not work with you as a free zone, because when you need to tender for a bid or a contract, you need to actually be a mainland license, and you need to upload the license onto their supplier website, onto their supplier portal, in order to get registered with them. Okay, for a mainland license, someone's asking if they need a physical office space or you can operate online. Now, a mainland license requires you to have an Ejari. An Ejari is basically your Dubai Land Department document that says that you have an office space. Now, it's mandatory for a mainland license. Every mainland license requires you have that. Now, if you were potentially going to take your own office, you can provide this Ejari over to us, or there are there are options in the UAE that we can provide you where we kind of give you like a virtual office with an ijari. You don't use this office, but it is there for any kind of for the checklist, for the box to be ticked for you to be able to actually get the license issued. So there are options that we can work with the mainland, but yes, ideally an office is mandatory for mainland. Whereas for free zone, it's not. Most of the free zones allow you to do this with a flexi desk. And if you do need an office, of course, then you need to take an office within the mainland. You can't take an office outside of the mainland. Sorry, if you are a free zone company, you need to take an office within the free zone only. You are not legally allowed to take an office outside of the free zone, unless the free zone gives you an NOC to do that and the mainland accepts the NOC. There's a question, do we need a license to sell products online only in the UAE? If you want to do business in the UAE, whether online, whether in person, if you want to have a corporate bank account in the UAE, if you want to invoice from the UAE, you want the monies that you're making online to come into your UAE bank account, you need to have a company in the UAE. Because you're not like, the only way you can make money in the UAE is first, either you're an employee and you're getting a salary, or you have a business and you're making money from that. So yes, you would need to have a business in the UAE if you want to do any work in the UAE, whether online, whether offline, doesn't matter. There's a question for, would a freelance license for a graphic design consultancy need to be free zone or industry specific? Would a separate license be required to subcontract to media agencies versus working directly with clients? So other than the free zone mainland setups that we spoke about, there is something called a freelance permit in the UAE as well. They are not offered by every free zone. There are only 3 different free zones in the UAE that can offer you that. A freelance permit is basically where you do not have a company. Okay, so you get a permit in your name. So if I'm applying for the freelance permit, I would get it would be a sole permit in my name under Sharon Tracy Thomas. Okay, and it would mention the activity. Freelance permits are mostly media IT related, so it's made for freelancers in that IT tech space, media space, and for consultancies, for like, management consultancy, for any kind of activities with consultancy, the freelance permit doesn't work. It mostly works for media and IT services. Okay, now if you have a freelance permit, ideally you should not work with clients directly. Like, you should not, let's say you are a web designer, right? You should not work with me as Sharon directly. Like, that's not really allowed with a freelance permit. You can tie up with agencies or companies who would provide that service to me as a client or a person. Whereas if you have a company, you could work with the media agencies and you could work with me as a client directly as well. So that's the difference between the freelance permit and if you're getting a company. There's a question that there's a company already set up in the mainland. They have a professional license and they need to move it to the free zone. Unfortunately, you cannot do that. Free zone and mainland are completely different setups. So you cannot move a license from a free zone to the mainland or mainland to the free zone. So if you now want to set up in the free zone for whatever reason, you would need to shut down your mainland and open new in the free zone, or open a branch of the mainland in the free zone, but then you have 2 companies running simultaneously. Yes, you can sell products online or trade with an e-commerce license without the need for a mainland license. However, you need to note that you are not involved in that physical process of the delivery of the products at all. For example, I have a website and I'm ordering, someone orders goods online on that website. Let's say it's a t-shirt, right? These goods should not be stored in your house. I should not store them in my house and then package them and then send them via delivery to my client. It should either be stored at, it's called basically drop shipping. So you can store it at logistics firms like your RMX, DHL, any of these guys, or they come directly from the supplier and the manufacturer to the client. So if you're working in that way, then you can just have a basic e-commerce license and operate under that. For a mainland license with a virtual office Ijari, depending on the Ijari that you have, so the one that VirtuZone provides, you can have up to 4 employee visas on it. And anything more than that, then you need to take an office. The way the mainland works is that if you have your own office space, you allocate around 8 to 9 square meters per visa. So if you have a 100 square meter office space, you could get an eligibility of up to 10 to 12 visas on that. What kind of license is needed to tutor at a child's home? Unfortunately, there is no license in the UAE that allows you to legally tutor someone at a home. Okay. Like I said, any education license, especially when it's tutoring, when it's classes that you need to do, they need to be regulated by KHDA. Okay. And KHDA only regulates it when you have a proper physical space where you plan to teach where you plan to teach your services, whether it's teaching students, whether it's teaching professional development to professionals like me. But you need to have a physical space in order to do that. You're not allowed to do home teaching. I know there are people who are doing it, but legally you're not allowed to do that. Yes, you can absolutely sell or acquire companies from the free zone setup. Any company in the UAE, free zone, mainland, offshore can basically own shares in other businesses, whether in the UAE, whether outside the UAE. That's absolutely fine to do. To provide cleaning services in the UAE, yes, you need to have a license in the UAE. It needs to be a mainland license. I think the activity is called building cleaning services. You would need to have an office or the ijari that I was talking to you about. But assuming it's a building cleaning services, you would probably need a lot of visas. So because you would need, I would assume 5 to 10, maybe more visas than that, because you're providing cleaning services, you would need to have an office in the mainland somewhere in order to get the quota for the visas. There is someone asking us for free zone and mainland pricing. Um, so the thing is that there's no fixed pricing, right? Because the pricing depends on what you want. Whether you are one person, whether you're two people, you need one visa, you need four visas, you need an office, you don't need an office, which free zone you want to set up, because every free zone and every mainland jurisdiction as well has different costs to it, which is why there is no price book and there is no one size fits all. But again, if you have something in mind, please get in touch after the webinar. Give us whatever information you need, like how many shareholders, where you want to set up, what you want to set up, what's the business activity, how many visas you need, and we will prepare a customized quote and send over to you. And then, we go from there. Someone's asking us how to reach out to consult more on setting up a business. There are a few ways you can do it with VirtueZone. First of all, after the webinar, you will be redirected to a Calendly link. So you can go on to the Calendly link. It's going to show you the calendars open with the company formation experts. And you can book a slot there. It's a free consultation. That's one way. The second way is you can go onto our website. You can leave a live chat with your name, email ID, phone number, explaining a little bit about what you want. And one of our team will get back to you there. You can call into our phone number as well, and reception will transfer you over to someone. Or there is also a live chat, a live calculator on our website where you can also leave your details. So there's 4 different ways you can reach out to us. One of my team or myself will reach out to you for a consultation, and then we start the process from there. So there is someone asking with regards to business name. They've checked the government system and it doesn't bring up the proposed name. They've also heard that the name can be declined if it's too similar to another. So yes, there are rules and regulations for company name approvals in the UAE. Every jurisdiction has different rules and regulations, but some of the ones to keep in mind is that you cannot use country names, so you shouldn't be saying, for example, let's say the company name is ABC. You should not be saying ABC Dubai or ABC England or ABC UK. Like, you can't use country names within the company name. You cannot use any kind of words that have, I would say, double meanings. You cannot use any words that are kind of curse words, any kind of religious words, any kind of political words that would create any kind of issue. So you need to stay away from these kind of things. Generic names are absolutely fine. If a name is too similar to something that is already registered within that jurisdiction, it could get rejected. So let's say you want your name to be Star Consulting, and there is already a Star Consulting in that jurisdiction. Most probably this will get rejected. So either you change the name completely, or you would have Star, let's say Global Star Consulting. So you would add something before or after in order to still get a similar name that you want. If you already have a visa and you just need the license, the timeline's really fast. Most of the jurisdictions, including the free zone and mainland, you can get your license issued within 5 to 7 working days, sometimes even faster. So if you have a visa, it's very easy. So you get the license, you have a visa already, and then you can straight away go into opening your bank account. VirtueZone doesn't help internally to get ISO certifications, but we do have a company we work with, and we can introduce you over to them and they can help you with your ISO certification needs. To check if your potential business name is available, it depends on the jurisdiction that you're going to want to set up in. With some jurisdictions, we can actually check online, but with most of them, we actually have to send the name along with the activity that's going to be with the name to the jurisdiction itself. And then the jurisdiction, the authorities, they check whether the name is available within the free zone, mainland, whatever, and then they come back to us saying, okay, this is available or not. So that's how you would check. So first you need to decide where you want to set up in order to see if your name is available or not. Most free zones don't require NOCs from employers. So the free zones that come to mind is Medan, which is in Dubai, DMCC Dubai. There is Ras Al Khaimah, which doesn't require an NOC either. Fujairah Creative City doesn't require an NOC. And there's quite a few more. A lot, I would say, from the 50 to 60 different free zones, 50%, 50 of those would not require an NOC. There are very few that do. There's a question, if someone's looking to open a gym where all clients will be trained in one place, can this be done in a free zone license? You could do it in a free zone license, but because you need a space and it needs to be a gym, a lot of free zones are not equipped for those spaces. So ideally, mainland would be the best option because then you have choices of where you want to set up. However, certain free zones in Dubai do offer that license. So for example, let's say DMCC, which is JLT, they do have that offering because they have the space available to set up the kind of space that you need. So it is possible in certain free zones if the infrastructure allows for it. But then you can only have the space within the free zone, not outside of the free zone. There's a question whether you can transfer ownership of part of shares to a third party. Absolutely. Any company, free zone, mainland, offshores, allows for amendments of the company. So you can buy you can sell your shares to someone else. You can buy shares from another company without an issue. It's just called an amendment, and all of the jurisdictions allow for that. So the webinar is live streamed on, I think, YouTube, Instagram, and most of our socials. So you can actually watch it later as well. Do I need to register the company to VAT and corporate tax once the company is set up, or can we register later on? Corporate tax, you need to register as soon as your company is set up, as I've mentioned before, because it's a mandatory requirement. VAT, you can wait till you get to the threshold, which is a 375,000 dirham. So when you get closer to the threshold, then you can register for VAT if required. There are a lot of questions regarding what is the cheapest option, where they need to set up. I would advise you guys to set up a consultation for later, because I cannot really tell you what is the cheapest option, etc., because I don't know exactly what you guys want to do and what the requirements are. So please set up a free consultation with us later, and we'll take you through the options available and then give you whatever cheapest options are available in the market. Which free zone provides virtual office facility for new business setup? Almost every free zone does that. So not almost every free zone allows you to have a virtual setup. In some free zones, the virtual setup is cheaper than the others, but almost every free zone would allow you to do a virtual setup. So every free zone in Dubai, so your DMC, CDWTC, Medan, Javza, etc., they all allow virtual setup or flexi desk setup. And then you have your free zones outside UAE, like Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah, Fujairah. They would all allow you to have a virtual office to set up your license. If a company foresees to do both free zone and mainland clients, which company setup is most recommended? If you're planning to do both, honestly, mainland is better, because then you have no restrictions or limitations at all. And right now with taxation, whether it's a free zone, whether it's a mainland, you are still taxed, right? So it doesn't really matter. So based on your appetite for the budgets that are required, etc., you can choose either or, but mainland would be more beneficial for you in the long run. Yes, if you want to add an employee at any time, you can do that. So let's say you start today with just you and yourself. So you have a company, you have a visa for yourself, and 6 months down the line, 2 months down the line, whenever that is, you want to add an employee or employees, absolutely fine to do. You can have employee visas under your company. Sorry, in some cases you might need to upgrade your packages that you have to be able to have employees under it, but every jurisdiction allows you to do that. For a construction and contracting company, under what activity in mainland and what approvals are required? You would need approval from Dubai Municipality Building Department. The activity is called Building and Contracting Works, if I'm not mistaken. But again, we can go through the list of activities that work for you. This activity does take some time though, because you need to provide for Dubai Municipality to give the approvals. You need to have an engineer who is the manager. You need to provide certification of completed works that you've done before as well, so they know that you know what to do, because it's building of projects, etc. But yes, we can help you with that too. So I have mentioned that some jurisdictions require a CV or a resume. So let's say you have a bachelor's degree in media and communications, right? And you want to set up an e-commerce company, and the jurisdiction we have chosen requires a CV. Your CV does not have to be related to the e-commerce company at all. No, your CV basically can show that you've done media and stuff and you are setting up an e-commerce company today. That is absolutely fine. Okay. It is more just for the jurisdiction to know that you have, just to kind of see your life experience in a way, and to see that uh, you have done something. You have, for example, you've studied here, you've done this business here. The only time when your CV needs to basically match the activities is generally when it's an engineering consultancy, because anything that is very specialized and regulated, so engineering, education, these kind of consultancies, construction, etc., your CV, which is your resume, and your degree certificate would kind of need to match over there, because I cannot be have a media license, have a media bachelor's degree, and then want to set up a construction company and get Dubai municipality approval on my bachelor's degree of in mass media. No, they're never going to do that, because I know nothing about construction. So I basically then need to get on board a manager who has the qualifications that are required to do that. But generally, the CV, the degree, if you have, does not need to really match the business that you're trying to do, unless it's a regulated activity. For a design consultancy firm, if you're doing architectural design and the drawings that need to get approved, ideally needs to be a mainland license. You need to get approval from Dubai municipality again, the building department. Um, yeah, and again, the same thing. The manager on the license would need to have that specific degree connected to that activity, and they need to have at least 3 to 5 years experience in that area as well. There's a question. They have a mainland license for e-commerce, and they have an home address but no physical office. They're asking if they can operate an e-commerce business from the home address. Ideally, no. I'm not sure what license you're talking about. I believe you'd be talking about the DED trader license. So I would recommend that you set up a consultation with us later, explain to me what license you have, and then I can advise you on how you should go about your business. Okay, I think we have another 8 minutes. I'm going to try and go through a few questions. Um, there is a question, artificial intelligence consultancy, which is AI, if it's a regulated activity. No, it's not. It does not have to be a mainland license. It could be mainland and free zone. This brings me actually to this whole digital asset space, the crypto, your crypto licenses, etc. And I want to give you a little bit more information about that. There is a new free zone that is currently that is basically for Web3 companies and for crypto related activities. It's called RACDAO, RAKDAO, and we're currently working with them. And for any of you guys who are dealing with Web3, AI, metaverse, prop trading in, in digital assets, real world assets, you can connect with us and we can advise you on the setup for these kind of licenses. These licenses can be free zone, it doesn't have to be mainland. However, any licenses that are that you want to be an exchange house or a broker or a custodian, whether in crypto, whether in fiat currency, it needs to be regulated license. It could be certain free zones, but it still needs to be regulated by if it's a mainland license, regulated by SCA or VARA. If it's a free zone license, regulated by VARA or that jurisdiction's authorities. This is when it comes to financial transactions, so if you're a custodian or a broker or an exchange house. There's a question. I want to set up a video production company and post-production facilities. I want to work for international clients and local mainland too. What is the best option? Now, ideally, I would say mainland. You could potentially do this with a free zone as well. So if you do not, if the videos that you're planning to do, let's say Virtue Zone's hiring you to do a video with our team, right, in the office, and like an internal communication video or something. All of these to do with the free zone is fine. So you could have a free zone license. But if you want to do video production that would require approvals, let's say you are doing video production for an ad and you need to be on Sheikh Zayed Road, or you need to get approval from a building management to shoot, because your ad requires that. In that case, you need to get certain approvals, which you cannot get as a free zone. So then you need to be a mainland license. But for post production, if the video is already shot and you're just sitting in a remote facility and just doing the editing of the video, posting it somewhere, for those a free zone is absolutely fine. If you're planning to open a supermarket, ideally needs to be mainland license. The process is fairly simple in terms of getting the license issued, but you need to get Dubai municipality approval after license is issued for all their requirements. Okay, so you get the name approval, initial approval, you get the Ijari for the space, you get the license issued with remarks saying that only able to operate after approval from Dubai municipality. Then you go, you make, you do the contracting of your space, etc. And the contractor who's going to do your space will do it as per the Dubai municipality rules. Then Dubai municipality comes, they do the inspection, and then you get reissued a new license without the remark saying now you're able to operate freely. So that would be the process for supermarkets. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more question. Sorry, a few of the questions are repeated and I've already answered them. So someone's asking, insurance and warranties, is this an extra service you provide? Yes, we do. We do work with certain insurance companies who can give you the kind of liability insurance, third party liability insurance that you want. So reach out to us and we can connect you to those people. Age restrictions for getting a visa, that's a good question. So if you want to set up a company and get a visa as a shareholder, investor, employee under the company, most of the jurisdictions allow you to get it over 18 years of age. Okay, anything less than 18 years of age, ideally you can either get only a student visa or a sponsor visa. So for example, if I am getting the visa, I'm a shareholder in the company, I get my visa, and then if I have a child less than 18 years of age, I give them a sponsor visa. But anyone over 18 years of age could potentially get can either get an investor or an employee visa depending on jurisdictions. Some jurisdictions require you to be 21 and above. Okay, so we have a minute left. I will not take any more questions now, but we are going to get back to the questions that I haven't been able to address as of now. Either myself or one of my team will get back to you with the answers. When you registered, you left your name, number, and email ID with us. So we will get back to you on one of those in one of those ways. And if you guys are already ready to set up, you know what you want to set up, and you just need to have information as to where you want to set up and the help with setting up, please just get in touch with Virtue Zone and we will help you to do that from our end. All right, thank you so much. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that this has made your journey a little bit easier in the UAE. and we will be on hand to help you with anything else that you guys need. I'm wishing you a very, very good day and a very good rest of the week ahead. Thank you so much for being here. Bye bye.